Here the order is 300,000 units that need to be administered intramuscularly. Then we have the label of the drug saying there is 1 million units in powder form, and the instructions for reconstituting that medication, which is add 3.5 mils of sterile diluent to yield 250 units per mil. So the first question is, what's the total reconstituted volume that we are going to have by adding the 3.5 mils of diluent to the contents of that powder form penicillin? So if we start by drawing the box, we have two boxes because we have two questions. So we're going to always start with the concentration of the drug, which is our have. So we're going to add 250,000 units per 1 invisible mil here. And then we have to look not for the order yet, because we are not in the first question. We just want to know what the final reconstituted volume is going to be. So all we need is the full contents of the drug that we are using. So the 1 million units. So we need 6 zeros in powder form. So this is powder, and we're going to add diluent to make a solution. So we need to calculate the answer. Well, we can do some mental calc here. 250,000 goes up to 1 million. So how many times bigger is that? 250, 500, 750, 1 million. So it's 4 times bigger. So that means the mils have to also increase by 4 times. So that means we are expecting 4 mils for an answer. But we can always do the calculation anyway. Multiply 1 by 1 million and divide it by the third number, the 250,000. So you can use a calculator, or you can do some simplifying. And here we would end up with 100 divided by 25, which is the 4 mils we were expecting. And the answer is in mils because the position in our box needs to match mils. Second part of the question now asks us to calculate the volume that is going to be injected. Well, that is about the patient. If you're going to inject, if you're going to give, if you're going to administer the drug, we need that information. The order, 300,000 units intramuscularly, is what we want to give to the patient. The have is exactly the same, the ratio that contains the units and the milliliters. So we create another box here. Start with the have again, 250,000 units in 1 mil, and place the want on the side matching the units, which are U for units anyway. Our question mark here will need milliliters for a final answer. So we know it's going to be more than 250,000. Well, it's going to be 300,000 that we want. So this increases at least by once, not twice. So our answer won't be 2 mils because it doesn't double. It will have to be a little bit less. And then we do the full calc by multiplying the diagonal and dividing by the third number. Do the simplifying or use your calculator straight away and do the calculation. So for 300 divided by 250, we end up with 1.2, as we were expecting, just above 1 mil, and it needs to match the mils, 1.2 mils. So for the final wording in this question, we could say, first, the volume of the reconstituted medication is 4 mils. And the volume that we want to inject intramuscularly is 1.2 mils. The instructions to reconstitute the medication are add 3.5 mils of steroid diluent to the 1 million unit powder form of the medication to yield the concentration of 250,000 units per mil, and inject only 1.2 mils, which will contain the 300,000 units intramuscularly injected. We could do the same question now using the formula method. So just move this down as usual. And same as before, so the order is 300. That's what the patient needs, so leave it there, because the first question is about how to discover what the final reconstituted volume will be. So it's about the full contents of what we use about the drug. And the concentration is given, which is the 250. Sorry, I think we had the glitch there. So just recapping this, the have is the 250 units per mil. So if you are using the want over have formula, our want here is 1,000 or 1 million units in 250,000 units, and we're going to multiply that by that invisible 1 mil, that is the third quantity in our ratio. So let's just recap. We want to discover what the final volume of the reconstituted medication will be. So we use the full quantity of drug that we are given, the 1 million units, and divide by the 250 units, which is the concentration of this drug, and multiply by 1 mil. So if we do all that calculation, I would encourage you to do some manual calculation there, canceling at least the zeros, which means dividing by 10 multiple times, and we end up with 100 divided by 25, which is 4. The units cancel out, and we are left with milliliters. So 4 mils is the total volume of the reconstituted solution once we have added that 3.5 mil of steroid diluent to the 1 million units. Second part of the question will ask us to find out how much we need to inject, how much the patient will be given. So, whoops, not that. So we're going to start with our want over have times the third quantity. So what do we want? The patient needs 300,000 units. The concentration of the drug is here in the have. So the have contains the 250,000 units that we need to address. And then we multiply by the third quantity, which is the 1 mil. As before, the units cancel out. Do some simplifying, divide by 1,000, divide by 10, or just go straight to your calculator. And when you do this calculation, you could simplify as a fraction, but you end up in the end with 1.2 mils. So 1.2 mils is what we are going to administer to the patient, or we're going to inject intramuscularly. So just doing the full wording as we did before, let's just see what we have here. So we first have to add 3.5 mils of steroid diluent to this powder form to yield a concentration, a simplified concentration, a simplified ratio of 250,000 units per mil. And the final volume will be 4 mils. But you say, well, we start with 3.5, but because you add a bit of water, a steroid water, the volume with the powder increases a little bit. So 4 mils is our total volume of the reconstituted med. And then from this 4 mils, we actually extract and inject intramuscularly the 1.2 mils.